this was my path in life. It's an easy and it's a hard question both. The question implies that there was a rational awareness, that there was a rational moment of me knowing, this is the right thing. It actually wasn't that. My heart was so pulled by being here, by this world. My brain came in only later. So yeah, I'll give you the brain part. I'll tell you that rational part, because it also exists. But it wasn't actually my brain or my rational mind that made the decision. It caught up much later. My heart made the decision that said, this is right, this is where I belong, this is home, this is everything. And that happened really almost instantaneously, standing on the banks of Ganga. I stood on the banks of Ganga and had such an incredible darshan, such an incredible experience that I knew this is everything. This is truth. This is life. This is literally everything. It took weeks, months, years for my brain to start catching up. But here's what it looked like from a rational perspective, because not all of us have that first heart experience. And so let's look at what it looks like in the mind. So I wanted to be happy. That's what everybody wants. I also wanted it. I thought I was happy, actually. I mean, I wasn't walking around with any sort of sense of I'm miserable, I'm looking for happiness. I actually thought I was happy. I had really the things that I was told you need to be happy. I had a good life. It was wonderful. On some level, though, on a deep level, when we're honest with ourselves, no matter how much we have outside, there's something, if we're not there, doesn't matter how much money, how many possessions, how much opportunity, it doesn't even matter how many loved ones. If we're not there, it's going to feel empty. And so I had everything on the outside. I don't mean just the possessions. I had the people, I had the relationships, I had all of that. But I wasn't there. There was no capital S self experience in me. It was just lowercase s self. And so that lowercase s self is needing things from outside. Degrees, clothes, food, fun, vacations, people, family, friends, lovers, whatever it may be, to make us feel happy. But at the end of the day, if you're not there, that experience of happiness isn't there. There is no amount of people or possessions or places that you can acquire that will give you that inner happiness. So I wasn't there, but I was 25, not religious. So this wasn't something that was in my mind a lot. It wasn't like I walked around thinking, why am I not there? What is that, emptiness in me? I didn't even think about it. I wasn't even acutely aware of it really until I came here and had the experience of being there, of waking up, of suddenly, wow, yeah, here it is. Okay. And that was more powerful than anything. So I wanted to be happy. I did what everybody does. Had education, had fun, had possessions, had people, did all the things that we do in our quest for a happy, good life. Aside from my heart, emotional, spiritual experience, let's put that aside, because if that hasn't happened to you, I don't want you to think, well, you can't know what to do. I looked around also. I looked around and what I saw was people were happy. Children were happy. Poor people were happy. And I was a scientist, so I've always been a very good observer. One of my skills, I'm an only child also, so it wasn't like growing up, it was very busy with lots of people. I mean, I had a lot of time alone, which really gave me an ability to watch, to notice. I've always been an observer. And then a thinker about what I've observed in other people, in the world, in myself. I notice things in myself. I think about them. And I looked around and what I noticed were the people I saw were happy. Now, they had nothing. They were super poor. These kids didn't have shoes. But they were happy. And then in my mind, I compared them to the people I knew in my life growing up, who had everything. But here, if I said to people, how are you? Or as I started to learn Hindi, aap kaise hain? They would say, Bhagwan ki kripa. It's all God's grace. Ganga ki kripa. It's Mother Ganga's grace. Puja Swamiji ki kripa. It's Puja Swamiji's grace. They didn't want things. They weren't saying to me, give me this, buy me that. When I'd go back to America, I'd say, anything I can bring you. They'd say, no, bas aao. Come back. So they had nothing, but they weren't yearning for things. Because what they had was an experience of inner peace, inner connection, inner joy. And I noticed that the scientist in me, the rational thinker in me, noticed that here are people who are poor and they're smiling. People I know, rich, not smiling. Now, I knew some rich people who were happy, but what it made me realize immediately was not the money that makes a difference. There is a secret here. And I knew I wanted to learn that secret. What is it that makes these people who have nothing happy? And then I started serving. Puja Swamiji gave me service to do. And in doing that service, I experienced a sense of fulfillment that nothing else I had ever done gave me. Here I was, and the first service he gave me was very, very simple. I was brand new. He didn't know how long I was going to stay. I was originally just here for a week. I didn't really have any skills or abilities. I mean, I was a student, a psychology student, but there wasn't really much need for a, psychology student around here. In terms of useful skills I had, they weren't very many. But I could type. And so in the beginning, he gave me a lot of typing. Simple things, letters, his correspondence, data entry, that kind of thing. Now, I was a PhD student, studying, researching, writing on a computer. Here, I had a manual typewriter, literally, not even an electric one of those like pale blue. You would find them probably in a museum today. Pale blue, big keys, Most of you are going to have to, go do a Google image search to even have any idea what that might look like. Typing simple letters. Puja Swamiji got letters. A lot of them were in English. Needed somebody to respond. Simple things. I was ecstatic. It was so fulfilling. So it was not about what I was doing. And what it did was it changed my entire mental framework of it's not about what I do. In fact, I'll tell you a story. Pujya Swamiji used to give darshan twice a day. And much less frequently than he does now. Twice a day you could meet him. And when he sits, you'll notice still to this day, he has a little bell next to him. And now it's cordless. Those days it was on a wire. And he would give darshan and I would go and sit. And he would and of course it was all in Hindi. I didn't understand anything, but I would just wanted to be there. He would ring his bell every once in a while. And a young boy would show up and stand at attention, and Pujya Swamiji would tell him something in Hindi, and the young boy would scurry away, and he'd come back a few moments later with anything ranging from a Rudraksh bead to a visiting card with Pujya Swamiji's phone numbers and things, to a room key, to a glass of water, to whatever it was Pujya Swamiji had asked this boy to bring, that he was giving to the person who he was speaking to in his darshan, the boy would bring. And I sat there plotting and planning, how can I be that boy? Like, that was all I wanted. My highest goal in the world was, that is the job I want. How do I get that job? And I spent so much time in the beginning, I cannot even tell you, trying to convince Pujya Swamiji that really I was worthy of that job. He'd have to speak in English because I didn't know Hindi yet, but his English is great, no problem. And I would learn Hindi. But I wanted to be the one who he rang the bell and I was going to show up. And he would laugh. He would say, You're getting a PhD. Like, you don't need to be the one who shows up when, I said, no, you don't. That's what I want to do. That is the most enviable job in the world. And I share this with you because my thinking mind was aware of this. My thinking mind was noticing this and aware. And what was acutely obvious to me was, I could see the paradox. I understood. Here I've gone from researching and writing reports on, selective serotonin reuptake and the impact on mood, to statistics. All of that stuff that you study in a psych PhD program. To coveting with all of the strength in my being, the job of a guy who had a 5th grade education. And I would have given my arm for it. And I was aware of the paradox. And what it made me realize was, just so obviously and so acutely, how service, how being in the presence of a guru, how being in a divine environment, even if what you were doing was typing correspondence on a manual typewriter until you get chosen to be the one to, show up when the bell rings. Whatever I was doing was so much more exciting, so much more fulfilling. I was always a procrastinator. I was always a drag your feeder until the last minute. Reports due tomorrow morning. I'm going to start the evening before. But first I'll take a walk. But first I need a cup of coffee. Oh, Out of organic beans, okay, no, the other beans won't do. I've got to go to the store, I'll buy I would do whatever needed to be done to just keep kind of postponing sitting down and doing it. And here, I couldn't wait to rush to the office in the morning, finish everything. Does he have anything more for me to do? And what my mind knew was, there is something here that is way more fulfilling, even though it makes no logistic sense to anything I had ever learned. There was no teaching I could go back to in my life and say, oh, well, yeah, of course it's more fulfilling because blah, 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 blah. There was no blah, 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 blah in my experience. There was nothing in my life I could turn to and say, well, of course it's fulfilling because it's seva. I didn't come from that background. Of course it's fulfilling because it's in the presence of the Guru. I didn't come from that background. Nobody had said to me, oh, you want to be really fulfilled in life? Serve. You want to be really, really, really fulfilled in life? Serve in the presence of your Guru. Serve your Guru. You want to be really, 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 really fulfilled? Serve in the presence of your Guru in a holy place. Nobody had told me that. But I watched it happen. And I was open. And I was an observer. And I knew I am more fulfilled than I've ever been. And I wasn't afraid. I wasn't afraid to make a choice that made no sense. I wasn't afraid to make a choice that ran in the face of everything I had ever been taught. I wasn't worried about what people would say about me. This is what kills most of us. Oh my God, what will people say? Every single person I knew except 2 told me I was crazy. Not just maybe not a good decision, but absolutely crazy. 2 people supported me. And everybody else said this was nuts. But I wasn't afraid. Yeah, it was really good to have the support of those 2. But even without it, I would have come because I knew. And so what I would say to you is have courage. But courage, the last point I want to mention is courage is not the same thing as impulsiveness. Courage is not the same thing as laziness. A lot of times we write off laziness. I don't want to do that. We say, oh, I've got an inner voice that says, don't go to work. I've got an inner voice that says, quit my job and just, sit on my couch because inevitably there's going to be, a best-selling book that's going to come through me or, whatever it may be. Courage does not mean laziness. Courage doesn't mean not taking responsibility. Courage is not running away. It's not impulsiveness. It's not, I have an instinct and impulse immediately in a second to do something. I'm going to not think about it, not weigh the pros and cons, not worry. I'm just going to do it. That's not what I mean. This was not impulsive. This was a decision that even though my heart had made it in the first 30 seconds, it was months and months and months before I made the logistic transition. So have courage. A voice will come, a feeling will come. And don't allow yourself to talk yourself out of it. Doesn't mean go with it impulsively, but it means allow yourself to sit with it, with courage, with openness, and see what happens. And if it feels right, have the courage. regardless of what people are going to say. At the end of the day, you are the only one who can bring your own sleep. You are the only one who determines your own heart rate, your own blood pressure, your own mind. Other people are going to tell you what to do, and then at the end of the day, you are stuck with insomnia. You are stuck with a mind that won't stop. You are stuck with a heart that won't stop racing. People like to tell you what to do and then go their own way. Realize you're the one you're answering to. And have courage to make decisions that enable you to fall asleep at night. That enable you to get up in the day full of gratitude. Not gratitude for the fact that, I don't have to have a day job. Gratitude for the day job. Because I'm able to look at it in a new way, whatever your thing may be. But it needs to be about what you say about it, not allowing yourself to worry about what the neighbors are going